Hello, Sacral Beauties. Welcome to the SheSacral Podcast. If you're new, I'm your host, Lindsay Christian, and I help women recover from chronic burnout. We have been diving into the Abundance Wound series, and today we're going to continue by talking about the overworking wound. This one is a big one, so if you've ever felt like you have to work twice as hard to prove yourself or guilty when things come easily, then you have definitely touched this wound. It's a deep, often generational story that says rest is laziness, ease is undeserved, and only suffering makes you worthy of success. This wound is rooted in the belief that wealth either equals guilt or grind. So let's talk a little bit more about the overworking wound and where this comes from. Maybe from an early age, you have grown up hearing things like money doesn't grow on trees, hard work is the only way to earn, or don't get too comfortable. You might have even seen your caregivers, parents, or grandparents grind endlessly, juggling multiple jobs, skipping rest, and sacrificing their health, only to still struggle to get ahead. Even if you wanted to dream bigger, the family narrative taught you that we are the ones who struggle. We are the ones who earn through pain. The next origin comes from the glorification of the grind. In many working class or survival-driven environments, the grind itself becomes a badge of honor. The more exhausted you are, the more respect you gain. Long hours are worn like medals. If you rest, then you're labeled as lazy. If things come easily, then people start to become suspicious. And the unspoken code is, if you didn't sacrifice yourself, then you don't deserve it. For some, this wound runs even deeper, tied to faith or cultural narratives that sanctify sacrifice. Suffering is seen as holy. Struggle is seen as purification. Pleasure and ease, on the other hand, are equated with sin, indulgence, or irresponsibility. The body learns that abundance and joy are considered to be dangerous, and that only through struggle do you remain quote-unquote good. If the generations before you worked themselves to the bone and still barely survived, living paycheck to paycheck, losing farms in depressions, or rebuilding after wars or migration, your nervous system has literally inherited their mistrust of ease. And on a cellular level, your body holds the imprint that stability doesn't last, ease isn't real, and grind is the only way to make it. There could have also been systemic struggles and barriers. For many minority groups, overworking became survival because opportunities were deliberately withheld. Black and brown communities, immigrants, and women in male-dominated industries have often been forced to work twice or three times as hard just to earn half as much as dominant groups. And this ingrains the belief that I must constantly prove myself because the ceiling is always held above me. That systemic reality wires the nervous system for constant fight mode, equating worth with relentless effort. And then also, modern reinforcement. Even today, society reinforces this wound. Hustle culture, social media glorifying the busy bosses, rewarding overwork. All of it reactivates that old family coding. Even when abundance opportunities appear, the nervous system does not trust them. You will start to feel guilty if things come too easily and restless if life is calm. And if you're ready to rewire that nervous system for feeling safer with abundance and ease, then I've created a free 7-day abundance reset guide specifically for you. So if this resonates with you, be sure to click the link down below. So let's talk about the pattern and how the overworking wound shows up. Overworking can be seen as proof of worth. So you take on extra shifts, side hustles, or just one more project, even when you're already exhausted. Rest feels like wasted time, so you fill up every moment with productivity. The harder you push, the more quote-unquote deserving you feel. But the cost is burnout. The next pattern that shows up is guilt when things come easily. So when money flows in without a fight, you didn't struggle for it. Maybe you get a bonus, or maybe a client pays with ease. You didn't have to struggle to get them to agree to something. Instead of celebrating that, you might start to feel guilty and question, did I really deserve this? Did I work hard enough for it? That guilt drives you into giving it away or discounting your work or piling on more tasks to justify the ease. Next is sabotaging ease by overcomplicating your money system. Instead of letting income flow smoothly, you unconsciously add struggle. You make your business processes harder or stretch projects beyond what's required. If something feels too easy, your body doesn't trust it, so you find ways to make it harder just to feel like you've earned it. Next pattern is resentment towards ease in others. Deep down, you might feel resentment or judgment towards people who seem to live in ease. Seeing someone work less but earn more can trigger comparison, envy, or even anger. Not because you don't want it, but because your nervous system has internalized this belief of, I'm only worthy if I suffer. And then finally, wearing burnout as an identity. For many people with the overworking wound, exhaustion becomes a part of who you are. Being tired, being overworked, being stretched thin feels normal, even comforting to you, because it mirrors what you saw modeled in your family. And ease, on the other hand, well, that starts to feel suspicious, undeserved, or maybe even unsafe or dangerous. So the pattern becomes work harder, earn through exhaustion, feel guilty with ease, sabotage your abundance, and then repeat the grind. This cycle doesn't just keep you financially capped, it also keeps you energetically drained, hormonally imbalanced, and stuck in chronic burnout. So let's talk a little bit more about how this wound is really affecting your body and your nervous system on a deeper level. In the body, the overworking wound creates a nervous system that becomes literally addicted to stress. Over time, struggle doesn't just feel familiar to you, it becomes the only state that your body knows how to survive in. So chronic stress looks like you're living in fight or flight. The nervous system is constantly pushing, hustling, and striving. Even on your days off, your mind is racing with tasks, responsibilities, and the thought of what else should I be doing? Stillness feels unsafe, so you fill every moment with productivity. We can even run into adrenaline addiction. The rush of doing literally becomes a drug. Grinding, firefighting, and problem solving gives you a chemical high from adrenaline and cortisol. So when things are calm, you feel restless or even anxious, like something must be wrong. So you unconsciously create more work, drama, or urgency because stress feels safer than rest. This constant push floods your system with cortisol, disrupting your hormones like progesterone and estrogen and thyroid function, especially for women. And it can completely wreck your sleep, either keeping you awake at night and leaving you feeling anxious and unrefreshed in the morning. Over time, your energy levels get depleted, leading to chronic fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and your body physically breaking down. And here's the painful part of the overworking wound. The very nervous system wiring meant to protect you actually drives you deeper into burnout. And your body confuses exhaustion with worthiness and rest with danger, keeping you trapped in cycles of overworking, collapse, and resentment. So let's talk a little bit more about this trap that comes with this overworking wound. The overworking wound creates a painful double bind that ensures you can never truly win. When you work too hard, you're exhausted. You prove your worth through grind and sacrifice, but the cost is your health, your energy, and your joy, and oftentimes precious moments you can never get back with those that you love, or the memories, the experiences that you're probably working so hard to experience. When things come easily, you feel guilty or maybe suspicious. Maybe ease feels like cheating, and receiving without struggle triggers a deep root of shame. So this means that abundance itself starts to become uncomfortable. So you might finally get that promotion or hit your income goal or experience more clients, but instead of celebrating that, your nervous system panics and you immediately will find ways to quote unquote balance the scales, piling on extra work to feel like you've earned it. But here's the deeper truth that many people are not going to tell you. And I learned this the hard way. Effort does not equal value to others. Growing up in the grind, you learn the harder I work, the more I should receive. And that feels logical, right? But in reality, wealth does not flow from effort alone. It flows from the value that you've created. Value is defined by the person receiving it. Customers don't pay you for how many hours you spent suffering. They pay for the problem you solve and the experience that they value. Some value speed, some value quality, some value transformation, but you constantly putting in tons of effort, that's not what people are paying for. Now, I know that when we're working our jobs, we're rewarded for overworking, right? Maybe your boss says, "Oh, great job. You worked those long hours," or maybe you did some overtime and you got paid for that overtime. But there's often a cap, right? There's only but so much you can truly gain. And the amount of effort and energy that you really put in can never meet the value that you've actually generated. So when you start to work for yourself or you start to tap into higher levels of abundance, if you're coming in with this wound, you may run into feeling really frustrated because you're going to work really hard and you may not see that revenue come in right away. Now, this doesn't mean that effort isn't required, but the truth is that hard work without aligned value will just lead you to burnout and wasted energy and wasted time that you can never get back. And this is why so many with this wound end up sabotaging their abundance. They can't reconcile ease with value. If results come quickly, if a client pays happily, if wealth flows without the grind, then the nervous system will panic and say that it doesn't match the old rule of I must suffer to receive. And until this is rewired, the prophecy will repeat itself. You will grind, you'll become exhausted, you will achieve that abundance, but you may start to feel guilty and sabotage it and run back into the grind. Not only that, when we've grown up in working class where our parents or caregivers have worked so hard, maybe we didn't have a whole lot, but we definitely had enough to get by and everything's paycheck to paycheck. There's also this belief that having more can make you greedy or disloyal or different from your people. And so you learn to limit yourself so you don't outshine others who are struggling. And that can lead us even deeper into the under-earning wound, which if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely tune into that one as well. So all of this can play a role into why we must feel like we need to work really hard in order to have or achieve abundance. If you enjoy putting effort in what you do and you like that feeling of working hard and it feels good, you feel almost like it's stimulating your brain and you're getting some stress out and it feels good, then that's okay. But if you are equating your worthiness and your value to how much effort you put in, that's where it becomes a trap. So when it comes to shifting the overworking wound, we have to teach her nervous system that worth is not measured in how exhausted you are. And rest is not laziness. It is required. It is sacred. So it's important to start to reframe our mindset around rest. Start to see rest as an essential part of creation. Just like the seasons of the earth will rest in order to create more abundance. Or for women, the menstrual cycle, that time where our body needs to rest, that is so productive, it's not even funny, right? There's so much healing that is taking place when we are resting. So rest is not wasted time. It's a foundation of renewal and growth, and it is 100% necessary. Everything doesn't stay in this constant mode of working. It is your birthright to receive, and so many of us cannot believe that. But you would be amazed at just how your way, just of who you are, can show up as an example for so many people. And that is so valuable. So whether you are exhausted or resting, you are still worthy of abundance. And when this wound heals, you will stop sabotaging ease. Abundance will start to feel like safety instead of guilt. So we've covered a lot today when it comes to the overworking wound. And if you're ready to rewire your nervous system with 30 days of pleasure rituals and join the community, then also click the link down below. As we close, I want to invite you to just do a little reflection and ask yourself, where in your life do you glorify struggle over ease? All right, well, this concludes our episode for today when it comes to the overworking wound. We have a lot more to dive into when it comes to abundance. Definitely be sure to follow and subscribe so that way you get notified on the next episode coming up when we'll talk about the desperation trap, where we start to focus on cheating and stealing to survive. Thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the SheSacral Podcast.